Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a wand for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Matthew McRory from the Central City Rory's house. That's a hard word to say. Rory. McRory. It's hard to say, isn't it? Rory? Rory? I don't know.
Rory.
It's hard to say.
I knew a guy named Rory.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Kind of
That's
sounds
cool.
like you're like saying something else. Rory. Sounds
Maybe
like,
I am saying something else.
It sounds like you're a... No, it sounds like when you're like Scooby-Doo or something. Rory? No.
Rory?
Rory?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so, today on the show, we are covering Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 4, entitled Bay of Squids. It was...
Funny.
It was, directed by Suds Sutherland. Suds. That's the person's first name.
Mhm.
S-U-D-Z. Suds.
Okay.
And written by Phil Klemmer. Originally aired on May 23rd, 2021. So, what happens in this episode here, Matt?
There's like this Cuban like soldiers who are like control like the missiles or whatever. They see an oncoming object. I think it's like a bomb or something like that. And it turns out that it's actually one of those pods that Sarah released into the time, I guess the time bubble or whatever it's called. When she was trying to save herself from what was her name, Kayla or something like that.
Yeah, because so basically what it is Kayla lands in 1962 Cuba.
Yeah. And like this pod, they think it's a bomb at first, but then they see the, squid thing or whatever going on. So, they think that the Americans have like, found an alien or whatever, and they're trying to, kill Cubans with that or whatever. And that's kind of what's going on. So like they're pretty much right in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Because Rory,
Mick.
He kind of put him right in the middle of it, because he like, this is interesting, that episode, because Mick is trying to like get beyond like his usual role of just being like, a violent dude or whatever, like a thug. Like he's trying to be more like because Ava's trying to push him to be like that too, as well, sort of to kind of like show leadership in like a different way, kind of, you know. And because with Sarah gone, it's like Ava's like the captain now, but but Ava's kind of like, she's sort of like trying to get everyone to sort of like show leadership like in their own ways or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But so he I forgot what he does, but he ends up doing something where basically they find themselves right in the middle of this, because they end up basically stealing the Soviet missile.
Yeah, it's basically during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So
Yeah, right in the middle of that, and you know they have this you know, kind of like a shootout here and there, I think, you know, with like some of the Cubans, you know, nationalists or whatever, and they end up commandeering you know, this missile that wasn't really intended for them, and now, you know, it's going to go straight into Castro's, you know, Fidel Castro's hands now. So they're like kind of fucking up history a little bit by essentially like helping this war, this thing escalate to a point, you know, where it could go out, you know, into, you know, all out nuclear war. And then you got Kayla's being like experimented on and shit by the Cubans, and
Ava ends up kidnapping Kayla. And
right.
During this situation, Behrad is mistaken for Che Guevara. And during that whole time, Nate and Zari have traveled to Washington, D.C., and they infiltrate very easily John F. Kennedy's inner circle, which seemed very strange.
Yeah.
And hoping to de-escalate tensions. Mick and Spooner, our new legend, are forced to cede the missile, which Fidel Castro has ordered to be fired at DC. And Behrad is trying to intervene in this situation, and at one point, because he's hanging out with Castro and saying that he's Che Guevara.
God, I know. So
Che's cousin or something.
Yeah, it's the whole like,
Yeah.
I'm his cousin, you know, motif or whatever. He looked a lot like him, though.
Yeah, he does.
The beret, especially when he had put it on.
Yeah.
Because he was. That's the other funny thing about that, is that Behrad was basically like really high for like a whole day, because he had Gideon make up like a bunch of marijuana candies.
Yeah, he basically had a bunch of these gummy bears that were like, you know, like marijuana gummies. Yeah.
So Ava pretty much like forces him to come with her because he wants to just go back to bed.
Yeah.
And that's how he ends up kind of getting kind of stuck in the middle of this, because Ava, you know, is pretending to be like a Russian scientist that's just like specifically deals with like alien creatures and stuff like that. So they, you know, they think that she's a comrade because like nobody else would, you know, have the information type thing, you know. And you know, she's got to pretend to, you know, they said do a vivisection, and she doesn't do it so well, and like the alien's blood is kind of like this sort of grayish type of, you know,
pussy grossness.
Yeah, basically like a gray blood or whatever. And then
Yeah.
Behrad becomes sick, and that's why he has to leave. And then he ends up putting on that beret, and then the dude thinks that, you know, it's you know, Che, so he wants, you know, to, you know, surprise Fidel, to, you know, put him in a good mood or whatever. And like they start talking and stuff like that, and Behrad takes out his marijuana gummies, and then Fidel thinks it's just like regular candies, so he wants some, and then he like takes like 5 of them, and so he's like completely blitzed out of his mind, you know. And the Behrad's like, "Can I play you a song?" Because there's like a guitar, like, you know,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure Fidel Castro just had the acoustic guitar just laying around in his office. But okay, and then
who knows?
Maybe he did.
He might.
Yeah, he could have. And then he's like, "I would have you killed if you did not play me a song." And then, so he plays this weird rendition of "Peace Train," by Cat Stevens, and then Fidel gets into like a whole stereotypical thing about like, "Oh, we're all brothers," because like apparently every person on marijuana feels like they're one with the universe, which. Okay, that's the sort of myth, I guess, because quite a few assholes who smoke weed. Anyway, so
no,
yeah, I'm just saying, quite a few people who are violent and just not good people do that stuff. But anyway, so
by the way, if you're in Michigan in the Adrian area and you want to get some marijuana, go to Teebs, Teebz. I'm currently shooting commercials for them, so there you go.
Oh, that's a cool little plug. I just set you up. I set you up right there. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And by talking about Legends and Peace Train and Fidel Castro and aliens, so he's like he wants to call Kennedy to like de-escalate this. I kind of jumping from like the
it's fine. Yeah,
fine because it's the whole show is about the timeline being fucked up, but. He wants to call Kennedy to like tell him to to de-escalate the situation, but just as he opens the door to Alien, just screams at him, and he's like, "Oh, Kennedy sent him to kill me" or whatever. So he's back to now he's on like the paranoid side of the weed trip now, so he's like super paranoid. Like, see, I told you. And they eventually find out that he's not Jay Guevara, so he just runs away with the guitar.
Because everybody steals, Fidel Castro's guitar. Basically, then we have we have after being attacked by Kayla, who Fidel Castro assumes to be an American mutant. Zari sabotages the retaliation order. And Nate stops JFK from launching a counterstrike. Yeah, so we've got this whole thing. We got Nate and the guys. It's basically it ends up becoming like the military guys versus the what school is it that they went to?
The
Harvard guys.
Like Kennedy and stuff like that. All with the Harvard.
And Nate says he went there too. I don't know if he really did, but
no, he just lied. Because he knew history, so he's just like,
yeah.
Oh, this reminds me of the game in 1940. Harvard versus Dartmouth or whatever.
Yeah. He may have went to Harvard. Who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think in last season he said he went to. I think he mentioned the college university he went to.
Oh, okay.
Because of Dionysus episode where he was like perpetually partying with his fraternity.
Oh yeah,
and they had to get like his golden something or whatever.
Well, maybe he went to Harvard for like grad school.
Maybe it's possible.
Yeah,
I mean it is.
Yeah. Who knows? So you want to take a break here really quick, Matt, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the episode.
Yeah,
we'll be right back, folks.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
Hi, this is Catherine, host of a new fashion podcast, The Real Fashion School Dropout. Join me as I interview guests every week in the fashion and beauty space, and we gossip on all things fashion and beauty, and even get into some personal stories of their journey in the industry. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Hope to see you there.
So Matt, you know how there's like all these like acquisitions that are happening. I've decided to announce right now that I'm putting all of my stock and all of my money into Quibi and Blockbuster.
Okay,
Because I'm thinking this is the future, man. You know, renting movies and then watching these little quick bites on your phone.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know about that because Blockbuster. I think there's only one store left in the world.
When did that happen?
It's been going on for like 10 years.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What about Quibi? That's the future, right?
Quibi. No, I think Quibi's like over and done with too. I don't think that's even around anymore.
Okay. Friendster. I'm going to put all my money into Friendster.
Maybe. What you really want to do, I think you should invest all your money into. You should. In Nathan's Hot Dogs brand. That's what you should do.
Well, they're still going pretty well, so.
Oh well, you should. Yeah, but. Well, yeah, exactly. Because you'd want to make. Yeah, you want your money to grow, so you should invest in Nathan's Hot Dogs.
Okay, I'll do that.
Or you can invest in like this new thing called DVD player that's supposed to be really cool and advanced. You actually have like these CDs, but it plays movies instead of music.
Shit.
And I heard that you can actually play your actual music CDs on them as well if you want to. So
whoa.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Is that kind of like Blu-ray?
It's better in Blu-ray, I think. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better pictures.
I was thinking
like
beta tapes.
Oh, those are pretty good too.
Yeah,
I think they're superior.
Or possibly, I was thinking MySpace.
That's a good option. I heard
that's the future.
It is. I think it is. I heard you can like put like music on your page so that when people go to your page, they can actually hear like music that you have like specially chosen.
Radio Shack. How about that?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't you split it up between like all four of those things and just like put it into like.
And I've heard about this thing called Toys R Us. They just sell toys.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Okay, back to Legends.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go check my money though after this, man. I don't know if
Okay.
Shit. All right, I'll let you know later if I lost all my money. Anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, what else happens in this episode, man?
This is an interesting episode because not a lot really happens in it. Because mainly there's the two storylines going on. I didn't really talk about much about what was going on in the White House, but pretty much the same thing was going on there. Like you said, the military guy, he's like pushing for war. He wants JFK to basically bomb the Soviet Union because he thinks that they're the ones that are really behind this, not Cuba. Fidel resents the idea that he's being controlled by the Soviets, that he's not acting on his own behalf, so he wants to, show his muscle, basically, which is kind of what the real Fidel Castro would have done too. He didn't want to see himself as being like a mere proxy for the Soviet Union. He wanted to see himself as like a big bad guy or whatever, tough guy. So this is going on. Nate keeps like referencing like oh, this reminds me of the 1940 game between Harvard and Dartmouth. I think it was Dartmouth, where, no one scored a goal in the entire game, and then it was, ended in a tie. And the military guy is like, well, that was the most boring game ever. And he's like, yeah, but like, if we keep talking to each other, nobody can lose because we're not, bombing each other, basically. So
Yeah.
he just wants to extend, the talks for as long, as to go on before they, decide to go to war with each other. And the military guy doesn't like this, of course. And then eventually, he keeps convincing JFK to like go to like DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2 or whatever. And like you said too, Zari was like, she was like agreeing to be like a secretary, like a typist or whatever, but she was like basically falsifying whatever they were telling her to type. And and she was typing with their thumbs, like a text, like a phone thing.
Yeah.
And like, one of the guys like, I've never seen someone type only with their thumbs before. Whatever. Typing super fast with it too. It's hilarious, and it's like a fun little joke about phone culture or whatever. And like there is some kind of going on here where like, I don't know if there's going to be some tension now between John and Nate, because John Constantine and Zari are kind of like officially like a couple now, but like Nate and Zari have been having like these little moments throughout this episode, like where, because she showed up in the Wave Rider in the morning and she didn't have her makeup on, she looked like, the old Zari.
Yeah.
Thing. And then like she made a comment basically saying that like he had an erection because she looks like the his Zari, not the new Zari. And then later on, same thing kind of happened where she kind of looked pretty much just like she did too, and stuff. And like, they're kind of going through that whole shared trauma thing, which sometimes can bring people, closer together or whatever. Like when you have like a harrowing experience with someone where you're both about to die or whatever type of thing, that can sort of like create sort of like a bonding, moment or whatever experience. And, so eventually, it boils down to they bring in the nuclear football, which is basically like a portable switch where the president could just flip it and then you could like get automatic contact with like the Navy or whatever.
Yeah, then release nuclear bombs.
So they're literally like playing, like this turns into like a literal football match. Like who's gonna get the? I don't know if I liked it or not, that part of it, but basically, like, the military guys, they got the football, and then the Harvard guys huddle up or whatever. Like,
yeah, they're like literally playing football in there. It's just like kind of lame, but in my opinion,
yeah, I wasn't really.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't digging that too much, but eventually, JFK throws his back out from his back injury or whatever when he's about to catch the the breach or whatever. So Zari shoots like her tornado shit or whatever. Well, not tornado shit, just that would be pretty gross. But like tornado stuff, air or whatever, so that Nate ends up catching it instead. Which I didn't understand the necessity of even doing this in the first place, because the military guys already had the nuclear football. So why couldn't they just flip the switch in the first place? Why do they need to have this weird?
That's what I was wondering. It's like what the hell, And
it made sense. It just literally made no sense. But Castro ends up on his side ends up telling. Well, he ends up just flicking the switch and shoots off, the warhead or whatever, the missile to bomb the White House or whatever.
Yeah, and the missile ends up landing in D.C., but it doesn't detonate.
No, yeah, so the military guy, he's like psychotic at this point. He just goes outside shooting it with a handgun like he's going to die fighting or whatever, and the thing just lands on him.
Yeah.
Kills him, but there's no... Oh, there was a cool aspect, too, about it earlier. Like, so part of the escalation was that the Cubans were... or maybe it was the Soviets, I don't remember, they were accusing the Americans of having a, quote, steel man like fighting for the U.S. Army. And it was Nate basically that someone took a picture of him when he was all steeled up or whatever and punching someone. So they, and the military guy, the general said that they actually have been experimenting on soldiers, to like make them as strong as metal. Almost sounds like Captain America. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
It sounds almost just like that. But so yeah, I mean, it was kind of, like the reason why this episode is kind of short is because that was really the only two things that were going on.
Basically, so during this too, Mick and Spooner request Kayla's help in finding Sarah in exchange for returning her home.
Oh yeah,
which she accepts. Later on, Nate sees Zari for who she is now, and not a reminder of Zari he lost. At the end, Kayla transforms into a human through an image inducer ring, and she and Mick leave on the Wave Rider to find Sarah while the rest of the legends travel to Constantine's house. And that's how the episode ends.
Yes, Constantine wasn't even in this episode at all. He was just
neither was Sarah or Gary.
Yeah, Sarah, Gary, and also Astra, but Astra said she was kind of not really like be involved that much anyways. So so that was kind of why not one of Sarah wasn't in her entire episode. So at the end too, of course, Gary's got his glasses that makes him transform, and she had something else. And Kayla had something else.
And basically, Mick's gonna fuck an alien.
Oh, of course, yeah. He had this look on his face like he's totally gonna bang an alien. And then, when she looked like she liked him too, I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna get weird.
Do you want to take our last break here, Matt, and then come back and talk about some trivia and stuff?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be right back.
It's the Ninja from the Ask the Angry Ninja Show saying, come listen to the show. We got the Ninja Wife to give you your movie reviews. We got the Conscript to give you the Ninja News. And we got the Battle to talk about your sports. And as always, it is the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So ask me a question, and we'll give you the ninja knowledge you need for your ninja life. Search for us anywhere you get your podcast from. Just search for the Ask the Angry Ninja Show and enjoy the show.
And we are back. Back in black.
Back in... Oh, boy. Back in black! I hit the stick!
Sounds like dogs barking. Anyway, so... by the way, I don't like AC/DC, folks.
Yeah, Mike really does not like AC/DC.
The most overrated band in the history of the world. With Kiss coming in a close second. Anyway, so I'm gonna piss off a lot of people. Anyway, so
it's got so many hardcore Kiss fans
and AC/DC fans too, I'm sure. So
a lot listening to our podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure. But if you donate to our Patreon, I'll take a second look at these bands and another listen and try to like them. Anyway, so if you pay me money, I'll like AC/DC.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll even buy an AC/DC T-shirt or something.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Start paying us to like things.
Yes.
We'll do it
within reason.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not gonna like all of a sudden become a Sean Hannity fan or something. Anyway, so
no.
the
still have a soul.
Yeah. Okay, so here's some trivia about this episode, Matt. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the first episode of the series not to feature Katie Lotz, aka Sarah Lance. This leaves no cast member to appear in every episode of DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Wow.
So Mick Rory, who appears only as Kronos in Night of the Hawk, is now the only main character to have appeared in every episode of the series.
Wow.
Okay. There was a Wilhelm scream in here, which when Mick punches and throws a Cuban army officer out of a truck. Wilhelm scream is a famous recording of somebody screaming from old movies that is used often in a lot of movies. Ben Burt used it a lot in the Star Wars movies and stuff too. Like when anybody's falling, they're screaming, and it's actually the audio of somebody in like an old Western film,
Right.
falling. So yeah, and it's fun to use. Zari speaks French to Rory, saying something in French, which means, "Do you speak French?" I'm not going to try to pronounce the French. Because,
Still something in French.
yeah, it says something in French. It's like execute paradis franceses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Kennedy's back goes out in the climax and forces Nate to grab the nuclear football. Kennedy really did suffer from chronic back pain.
Mm-hmm.
This episode reveals what Kayla's human form looks like. General Kilgore's name comes from the Colonel Kilgore trope, usually present in war movies where the aforementioned character seems to relish the war. It originated in Apocalypse Now with the character Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. The episode's title is a reference to the Bay of Pigs, an inlet of the Gulf of Cazones on the southern coast of Cuba, and the site of the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961. One of the Russians mentions ICBM at the beginning when something is picked up on radar. An intercontinental ballistic missile is a missile with a minimum range of 5,500 kilometers, primarily designed for nuclear weapons delivery. Similarly, conventional chemical and biological weapons can also be delivered with varying effectiveness, but have never been deployed on ICBMs. I'm sorry. Despite being credited, Katie Lotz, Adam Teskman, and Matt Ryan do not appear in this episode. General Kilgore, the man most wanted to launch a revolutionary strike against the Cubans and Soviets, is the only person killed by Cubans' Soviet-made missile, which had been disarmed and literally lands right on him. So that's some little trivia we have here. Here's some goofs from this, factual errors. The nuclear football is presented as a control board which enables a single person to simply press a few buttons, thereby order missile launches. In reality, the football just contains a series of codes which must be called in or transmitted by at least two separate individuals in order to authorize a launch. General Kilgore is shown wearing infantry branch insignia on his blouse lapels. General officers do not wear branch insignias. The only insignia on their blouse lapel is U.S. So yeah, that's a little bit of goofs in this. Any final thoughts here, Matt, before we wrap things up in this episode? What'd you think of this episode? By the way?
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as the last one, the X Factor. That was so far. This one was I don't know. This one seemed almost like serious, like kind of going back to like season 2.
Yeah,
I mean, season 2 was getting kind of funny, but they were still in this sort of serious.
Well, I mean, it still did have its
limbo.
It did have its humor with the with the gummy stuff, with the
right,
hot
yeah,
gummies and the peace train and whatnot.
Yeah, Yeah, it's true.
And the Mick going to fuck an alien thing. Anyway, so
Yeah, after drinking, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This wasn't my favorite.
Me
this
either.
one seemed like a bottle episode. Well, basically, that's what it was. It was a bottle episode, but it was
in
like
some ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really that great. I'm hoping that the rest of the season gets a little better.
Yeah.
The also soon. Speaking of time travel, I hope that we're going to cover Loki,
Oh God.
which is
When's that come out?
coming out Wednesday.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to start covering that next week.
Well,
Eh.
yeah. Figure out a way to. Oops, excuse me. Sorry, burping. Oh, there we go.
There you go, folks.
Oh, by the way, it has nothing to do with the show, but finally saw Shazam for the first time a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I mean, it's 2 years old, I know, but
I've only watched half of it. I need to finish it.
I watched it twice. Watched it Thursday night and then last night as well, or Friday night.
Yeah, it's good so far what I've seen of it.
Yeah, and that interview that you sent me of him from the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
That was a really good interview. With the actor
Zach Levi.
Yeah, Zach Levi. It was a really good interview.
And
So, yeah,
by the way,
check that out.
if you are a fan of Zach Levi, you're probably a fan of Chuck. So you might want to stay tuned. In a few weeks here, we're going to have an interview with Mark Christopher Lawrence, who played Big Mike on Chuck. So yes, so that'll be fun.
Rock and roll.
Can't wait to talk
Rock.
to him.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions you want us to ask him, send me a message at mike@cullenpark.com. But yeah, definitely stay tuned here. We're going to check out Loki, which I think is very similar in concept to the original Legends of Tomorrow in certain ways. So
Yeah.
with a time
Like a
bureau
time-
and everything.
Yeah, the Time Masters, the Time Lords. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how different it is. It sounds like it's going to be really good. It's interesting that the writer of the show said that his interpretation of Loki is he based Loki on Steve Jobs. So we'll see how that
Oh.
works. You know, that's what he's saying. That's the inspiration for his writing of the character.
Okay.
So we'll see that. I listened to an interview with him on the Still Watching podcast, which is another good podcast to listen to. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to us and check out our Patreon and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. It'll really help out the show. But yeah, just stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of good episodes coming up. Like I said, we got the Mark Christopher Lawrence interview coming up. We've got some episodes about Loki. We got more episodes about Legends of Tomorrow. More episodes about some pilots that we are going to watch. Maybe some movies. If there's anything you want us to watch, send me a message. Like I said, at mike@cullenpark.com, and we
And if you pay us, we'll pretend to like it.
yes, or if you pay us, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
But
there-
but if you have some suggestions of things you think we might enjoy watching, just let us know. Any direct-to-video sequels, any pilots for short-lived television series, or also anything else. Some bad movies or good movies or whatever you want to have us check out. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other thoughts here, Matt? Before we leave.
Nope.
All right. Until next time, folks, be safe, be kind, rewind, invest in Quibi, and wear a mask if you have to, and make sure you wear a condom. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast. a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.